All right, so now we're going to fret the fretboard. First thing I'm going to do is turn on my lights. We've got most of our lights on foot pedals. Just makes it a little bit easier, especially when there's more than one type of light plugged in. I get out my kit, my fretting kit. I put my fret nibbers, or pliers, or cutters, sorry, over there. This is a template that Ben Bonham has made for us that has the perfect taper. And I slip it in, holds it nice and steady for me. Fret rocker, I'll need that in a bit. My fret hammer. And then you've seen Ben's wife Heather nib all the frets, and they're all in these nice little bins marked 1 through 19. So I'm going to grab a fret, hold it like that between my fingers, check the length, which is perfect, put it in the slot. This is really important. Middle, my index finger on the middle of the fret, and I tap. Look at how lightly I'm going to tap. My hand is way down toward the head. All I want to do is start that off. I don't want to bend that fret at all. And if you hammer too hard or hold it in the wrong way, you'll bend it. So every one of these I pull out and I check, and I'm now with my left hand I'm kind of getting it so it's lined up in the slot properly. What you're going to see as I go down the fretboard here, a couple things. I want, ideally, after just doing this operation, the fret should be nice and lined up. I shouldn't see a bunch of unevenness, because when fretting, the consistency with which you fret is everything. You want the frets, of course, when the instrument is completed, to be all level and perfectly seated, and any inconsistency in that will mean more fretwork later, more work later, which is always the chance for something to go wrong. So from the very beginning of this operation, we're going for consistency. And you're going to see that in a bit when I press. So left hand, index finger, grab it again, that happens sometimes. Just a couple light taps, not trying to put that fret all the way in, just getting it started. We're going to use our fret press here in a minute, and we're going to press the frets in. I kind of count to myself as I'm going through the frets here. This is number 12. And I can feel and see if they don't get started properly. Sometimes they get started on a little bit of an angle. Not too much for me anymore. They used to. But you want to make sure that it's gone straight in. It ought to look the same to you from both sides. Lost count. 15 is what I'm on. It ought to look the same to you from both sides. Not like it's going one way or the other. And there, what you saw me do is just rotate it a little bit with my finger. I had it like a little bit at an angle pointed toward the camera, and I put my finger on it like that and kind of rotate it into position so it's straight up and down. Remember, our fretboards have a 12-inch radius on them. And the frets are made, we get them from LMI in big spools, and they're a little bit tighter than 12 inches, but about. Okay, I'm going to close my box because I never want to tip that over. Here's my fret press. Now, key here is the consistency with which I press. So I really want to feel that and not feel like I'm pulling harder or softer on any one fret. I also use, there's a little pin that's right in the middle. And down here, this comes from Stumac, by the way, and there's different inserts for different radiuses, these brass inserts. But that pin is right in the middle, and when I press, I'm going to go, I think of the fretboard as divided in thirds. So here's my 1/3 line, and I'm going to take the middle and go right down there, and then I'm going to come back on the 2/3 line. And I just like the way it seats. So here we go. Pretty quick here, and again, I really want to feel with my left hand that now I can see that one is not, you see that pointed toward you? That didn't go in straight. So I'm going to grab that a little bit, and I'm actually with my hammer, I kind of got it started a little bit better. And that's because instead of concentrating on what I was doing when I was seating the frets, I was talking to you and didn't see that that happened. Anyway, I'm going down the line, and I should have shown you, by the way. Shoot, if you look at the ones that aren't pressed in, see how even they are?
Wait a second.
And that's because I just tapped them in very evenly. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Anyway, going right down the line, with my right hand where I'm pressing, I just want to feel that each one of these is the same. Now I'm going to that 2/3 line, that little pin right there in the center of the press, going right down the 2/3 line of that fretboard. And you can see or feel or hear, you can't feel anything from afar, but you can maybe see or hear as I'm seating that end. I can sure feel it. It just kind of goes home nicely. All right, now I'm going to take my first look down the fretboard. Can you look? You got the camera on it and focused? Mm-hmm. I'm just rotating it, and I don't know if you all can catch the light, but you can really see high frets when you do that. So I just take a quick look, make sure everything looks pretty good. Next thing I do is take my fret rocker, LMI or Stumac on this, and I do 3 points. Now it's a very light touch. If you press too hard, you'll lose your feel, but that fret rocker will show if that middle fret is high. And I want to span the fret. Hear that? Feel that? Okay. So, and I should have said, I forgot to do this. I go through all the frets, 3 light taps, just to make sure it's fully seated. Okay, back to my job. Still, that middle is up right there. So my method is I take my finger and put it on the next fret. That way I'm always remember which one was off. So I press the right one. Give it just a little more press, and now I go back and check it. Now when I press that, I might have overpressed it, and it might now have caused this one to be high. So I go back and check the previous one. High. A little bit of a rock there. Good. Previous. Good. Nope. Good. Now I got to flip it around to the short side, so I'm only spanning 2 frets. High. And that's just because with this press you're going to be a little bit inconsistent with the seating. So I expect to do this every time. And you think, well, why are you doing all this when later on you're going to level the frets? And the reason is I want to give it as good a start as I can at every step. I don't know if you can hear that or see it when I'm doing it, but and I'm doing now there it's still high, and it's because I'm doing a pretty soft press. I don't want to overpress, especially into the maple. It's really easy for the press to overwhelm the maple. You can put a lot of pressure on this if you're not careful. Oops, think I missed one. Okay, now next thing I do is look down that fretboard again, and the reason is I think my eye is actually better and I'll see things that I didn't see with that. So all I'm doing is raising this up, and I'm expecting to see like train tracks, like you're looking down them, and the light should very evenly, I shouldn't see anything standing above, and I do. Right in there, somewhere in there, I see that edge is high. And let me find it now. I think it's right about 7, but I go back a few, and here it is. Yep, it was at 7. All right, could you catch that before when you
Sort of, yeah, you can, I mean,
I'm
it's
gonna-
not as good as your eye. I mean, directly.
Anyway, maybe you saw it, maybe not, but that's the method. All right, now I pop out of that little holder. All right, so now I'm going to take, these are StewMac fret cutters, and they've got this beautiful polished end on them. So it's unlike a lot of diagonal cutters which have a bevel there, and that allows me to get right in, right up against the binding. I don't hurt anything, and I'm just looking for ones that are a little bit oversized. And this is just so when I trim the neck, sorry about blocking it, that's how I hold it. Later on I'm going to have this glued on to the neck, and I'm going to trim it, and when I do that, I don't want to hurt my bandsaw blade by cutting these little fret ends. All right, done with that. Now, put away my equipment. Last thing we do, this fretboard, every time you press frets in, you're putting, you're having to press them into a slot that's the right size, and then the tangs expand it a little bit. And what that means is this fretboard takes on a bit of a bend in that direction. So it's no longer flat, it's just a little bit bent. You can see that when I press here in the middle. So Ben Bonham has made us these super cool fixtures, and you can see it has a large radius in it, but if we put it in it overnight, it will take out that bend, just gently. Nice padding there so we don't hurt anything. It goes in, dowel there, there's the fretboard, and it's just gently going to rest there and get unbent. Some people spritz it with a little bit of water and put a lamp on it, a little bit of heat. There's a lot of ways to do it. I like this, it's very gentle. So that's it for this segment. We'll see you next time. Thanks.